Welcome to the New to Crypto podcast, designed to guide you through the crypto landscape with pinpoint accuracy, created for the new and intermediate crypto investor. Join your host, Crypto Travels Michael, as he takes you through the different facets of getting started and succeeding in your crypto journey. New to Crypto podcast brings you new episodes daily, Monday through Friday, with surprise bonus episodes sometimes on the weekend. Let me ask you, are you new to crypto? Don't know where to start? Are you more experienced but have questions? Then you're in the right place. This podcast is designed for you. Coming at you from the Trading Center in the Lifestyle Design Studio, here's your host, Crypto Travels Michael.
Hey, welcome to today's podcast. I'm excited about today's episode. I'm joined here by a leader in DeFi. Today I have the founder of CoinChange. And please welcome Max to the interview. Max, man, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for coming out.
Hi, Mike. The pleasure is all mine.
Hey, Max, before we jump in, can you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'll start. Listen, thanks for having me. I mean, DeFi has been very controversial recently in the overall crypto space, right? And the winter that's been upon us. So I've been in crypto for the better part of the last 5 years, since 2017. Before that, I co-founded a professional services agency that was servicing and building apps for clients worldwide. Before that, I used to work for 3G Capital. It's a capital fund. Public equity fund. Prior to that, I used to work at SAP Consulting. It's a consulting engineering firm out of Germany. Prior to that, I used to run a small venture fund called BGS Ventures. And I used to work when I was in school building a few applications and a few startups of my own. Did about 5. This is my 5th startup. 1 was sold and 3 failed. So I'm 36 years old, educated at University of Toronto. I did my electrical and computer engineering degree there. And for the better part of the last 20 years, I've been in the tech business.
Thank you for sharing that background, Max. It's you've had quite a ride up to this point, and we're excited to talk about CoinChange today. For our listeners that are not familiar, can you just give like an overview as to what CoinChange is?
Yeah, so CoinChange is a yield optimizer platform. So if you want to earn on your assets on a daily basis with no lockups, right, you either transfer your USD or crypto and start earning, right? So we take care of the rest. We don't lend your assets. We don't trade on your assets. We utilize the liquidity in the DeFi market. So we participate in the revenue of different protocols. You can say we're like a yield optimizer because you can go and do yield farming yourself. And yield farming is the means of passive income in the DeFi space when you provide your liquidity, your coins to different protocols, either lending them out or either providing liquidity to participate in a pool and get paid part of their revenue from the fees that they generate back to you, right, for that participation. So we optimize that, we minimize the risk, we maximize the earn. We have a risk framework in place, we have compliance in place, we have regulation, we follow all the possible reporting standards. We're doing our financial and risk audits right now. You can think about us as a qualified. For the easier understanding, probably for the regular person, you'll think about us as your wealth manager advisor in DeFi. So without you controlling your assets and trying to figure out how to earn yield in DeFi, you'll trust the centralized counterparty like us to do that for you. So we have a certain mechanics, we have certain algorithms and platform to optimize the participation in that market. So that's what we do. Pretty much we create, optimize the yield, and we pay you back on a daily basis, right, on those rewards. And there is no lockups. We've been doing it for over a year right now. We have about 45,000 retail customers. We have about 30 corporate customers, close to $50 million in the platform. We'll call it AUM. And so far, so good. You can read about us online, social media. We haven't really stopped doing our business through all this turmoil in the lending replication business, because all you guys know that Celsius, Voyager, and many other participants in the lending world who were taking retail assets and then lending out to another traders, right, and hedge funds to create yield for them, got in trouble with a sharp decline of the assets because they didn't take any collateral, or they took the collateral that wasn't enough to cover, right? So they had to file for bankruptcy because there's a huge hole in their balance sheet, right? Because they mismanaged the risk lending assets out to someone. We, in the other case, don't lend assets. We create and we optimize the yield ourselves through the platform that we have. And we're always in control of the assets on chain, right? So it's a very big difference between two business models, even though it looks very similar on the surface, that those guys were paying the yield on a daily basis, call it interest. They are more like the banks. So they borrow from the customers, then they lend it away to the institutional players, right? Or trade on their assets of the customers, right? Wouldn't do any of that, right? So we can think about us more of that wealth management on DeFi, right? So it's still discretionary. So we take your assets and we define and participate in those protocols, but we don't lend them out and we don't trade on them. We don't really bet on the direction of the price of the coin, right? So there is no earning on the price differentiation of the asset. There's only earning in the revenue participation of the protocol, because protocols are built the way that they connect peer to peer and charge a fee for that, but they have to have a liquidity to exist, right? So we participate in that liquidity.
Thanks for sharing that, Max. That was actually enlightening to hear you share some of that, and I'm sure our listeners really, really appreciate that. Even the definition that you did early on, what when you were just speaking. You know, I want to get into how just a bird's eye overview of how your yield program and product work. But before we dive into that, can you share with our listeners like your origin story of CoinChange? How did it come about, and et cetera? Take us down that rabbit hole and paint us a picture, if you will.
Yeah. So from my personal perspective, right? I kind of caught that startup bug in the university when we first we built up a Napster for Asia, like APAC Asia, so like a clone of Napster. So pretty much compiling free links on the web and structuring them in a way that users can search and listen for free music, right? And then through the fund that we had, we did about 15 investments into the startups. It was called BGS Fund. I never really wanted to come back to work for the SAP or fund or any other corporate environment. So I was kind of dedicated to follow through with different ideas that I had or the people around me had. So we did one of the first startups. That we did was also in the cannabis space. So I'm in Canada, right? So in Toronto, I'm in first nation that really from G7 legalized the cannabis on the federal level. And before that happened, Trudeau was going to power and promising that that's gonna be the big thing, right? A lot of people were betting on that, building their growing facilities. So we as a tech people, we decided to build up a system that will enable seed to sale. So seed to sale platform that will enable you to track the seed purchases, the manufacturing, the distribution, and we actually got a license from Health Canada that made sure that this product can be utilized in the healthcare environment, right? To track from seed to sale, so nothing goes on the street pretty much, right? And nothing comes from the street. So that was one of the products that we did and sold before I started doing CoinChange. So I was kind of in a sabbatical after that product, and I was buying some crypto myself through CoinSquare. So CoinSquare was one of the earliest exchanges in Canada. And the experience was pretty cumbersome. So when I was buying, I was buying large chunks, kind of an OTC transactions with the broker on chat. You didn't know the final price. You didn't know the fee. There was always a spread. There's always a Forex spread. You buy in Canadian dollars. Everything is benchmarked in the US. So when I found out they actually charged me 4 or 5% on a transaction, I thought, listen, it's not the best experience. That was 2016. So it was not in 2017 bull run. That's when kind of we thought it might be a better experience for the customer. So originally, the CoinChange story started as a automated online brokerage, right? Similar to what, in the essence, if you know Wise.com, so TransferWise.com. So those guys did to the cross-border payments when they created a transparency in your forex rate that you actually pay to move the money around the globe, and an easy calculator experience. So that was the same thinking. Let's create a transparency in the experience of buying and selling of their crypto asset at any scale with the calculator online, right? So 2018, we kind of started, the discovery, and then 2019, we started building. In reality, late 2019, we hired, we were building smart order routers, so we hired a few kind of quants with a background in trading and algorithmic trading and the data. And right now, this guy's still with the team, and he's our chief DeFi officer, so chief product officer, so manages the full DeFi team that consists of about 20 people right now. So he had an idea, pretty much saying, listen, why don't we look into this DeFi space that had only $50 million of the TVL, right? So even right now at this cold market, it's $70 billion. So when we started, it was at $50 million. And so we started looking into that, and eventually when we understood, it was late 2019. So early 2020, I would say, we were already did a kind of a, not hard pivot, but we already knew that the product that we will introduce to the market would be yield farming. So a DeFi automated yield farming, right? The brokerage component of the platform is still there. You can still fund the account with fiat and buy and sell a crypto asset and swap crypto assets from one to the other and off ramp into the dollar, right? So it's easy system to go from the dollar to the crypto, very, very smooth same day transactions. But the core of the platform is yield farming, yield generation, right? We're optimizing across 5 blockchains, 20 protocols, 50 pools right now. So that's how the story came. And then we thought, okay, brokerage is really hard business, race to the bottom. There's so many vendors. We don't want to compete there. It's been saturated. So early 2020, all the pretty much target and user journey and the go-to-market strategy was around the yield. And since then, we've been building it. And I would say we are probably about 3 years in. So like late 2019, that team started to build up some data pipelines. So I would say that 3 years in the game, with the yield platform that we have right now, we're probably one of the most sophisticated yield aggregators, and not aggregators, because we don't really aggregate, we optimize. So we take different features of different protocols, and we optimize the yield on a risk managed basis. So I think we're one of the most advanced DeFi players in the world right now, providing that yield optimization experience for the customer on a centralized basis. We're not a protocol, so we're still centralized.
Okay. And for our listeners, can you share, so let's say we have a listener listening, and can you take them down the process of how simple it is to basically get started in your platform for a retail?
Yeah, listen, it's as easy as taking a selfie. So pretty much go online.
First time I've heard that on the show. I love that.
Yeah, you go online, download the app, take a selfie, boom, provide a piece of your ID, you're in the system. And then if you have coins in Coinbase or BitMax, whatever exchange or wallet, you transfer some of them and start earning yield. That's it, same day. But the USD transactions are a little harder. You obviously have to do the ACH or a wire to fund your account. Then there's a one-click investment when you move it from USD into the crypto world, right? So that's why it's not FDIC insured, as an example, right? Even though you deposit dollars, then those dollars are converted into a stable coin, and stable coin is not really a fiat currency that's backed by the FDIC insurance, right? So it's in essence a representation of a dollar by a corporation like Circle, right? That has certain reserves back. So so it's like as easy as taking a selfie. You jump in, get it done, move $2, in stablecoin, or $2 in Bitcoin value, no minimum. Start earning yield and take it out next day if you want it. No minimum, no lockup,
no lockup. So someone could just try out your platform with a small amount, and they can take it out if they want, or they can leave. So you have that flexibility.
Yeah, because obviously the way that the platform operates, there's thousands of customers, right? So you do it on a pooled basis. So there's in and out transactions, and you do the net transaction only. So right, it's not per client, it's per net, right? So thousands of customers move $1 out, another thousand move $2 in, so you move $1,000 in. But it's very easy, very easy. So it's made for crypto dummies. Pretty much when we started, our main market was USD, it was non-crypto. If you I know you've tested the platform. I mean, it's very, very easy to buy and sell and deposit, right? So there's no order book. You don't see any trading screens. You don't see any graphs, only your yield graph. So it's very simple, like it's the wise.com experience, right? When you go there, there's a calculator and USD to Australian dollar. That's it, same experience.
Excellent. Right on. So that's definitely a major benefit of CoinChange. I know you shared a few things earlier previously, but what are some other bullet points of major benefits of CoinChange that you would want our listeners to be mindful
So
of?
I would say that for the ones who know crypto, right? It's the difference is on chain versus off chain. So our assets are all on chain, and we don't give assets to a third party. Like, even though I know, Mike, you're a great trader, I won't give you the assets of our customers for 20% interest a year.
Yeah.
Right? Even though you did last year was great for you, right?
Yeah.
No, even though you're ready to put some collateral, I mean, we don't do that, right? So it's not our business, right? So what we do, we provide that liquidity on chain to Uniswap, Aave, Compound, other protocols, and then we combine that. We do it in a smart way. So that's a big difference than having assets on chain under your control or with somebody else on the third party. So the second big difference is that we are actually going through audits. Right now, we're doing our financial audit with Grant Thornton, right? So we're going to publish it by the end of the year for the last 3 years, financial audit. We're also starting to do our risk assurance audit. So how do we quantify the risk of the protocol or the asset that we connect and interact with, right? So Ernst & Young is going to do that. Probably Q1, we're going to publish the attestation as well.
Okay.
And then going forward, we'll do on-chain attestations between our assets and liabilities, so customers feel comfortable that we have the money on-chain that they deposited.
Yeah.
Right? So at least assets are equal to the liabilities. So I think we are trying to be regulated. So we have these auditors, we have those audits going on, right? We talk to regulators. We have obviously reporting to Fins and FinTech for money laundering, right, and any suspicious transactions. We do have our MTL licenses right now in progress, so money transmission licenses in the US. We have our national payment license in Poland for Europe, right? So, I mean, we talk to regulators, we try to abide to the law, we try to get the licenses, we try to have a certain reporting to those regulators as well, right? So it's very important right now, especially after the debacle of players like Celsius, right? Unfortunately, to the industry, right? But it does affect everybody. So people are scared right now of any centralized yield, no matter what. So we've been doing it from the very first day when we started. We knew that there's two pillars that we have to abide. It's regulation, transparency, and technology, right? So it's really hard to go hand in hand, regulation and technology, because sometimes it does interfere, right? And quite often it does because it's always lagging.
Yeah.
Regulation always lagging the technology. But at the same time, you can also do the basics, right? Basics like an audit doesn't take much to do, right? You hire an external party to validate what you say is true, and they get into your books and they validate. So we go by at least doing the minimum, to reassure our customers.
Mm-hmm. No, that's important. I love the transparency and the extra effort that you guys are making in that area. Max, share with us some things to come from CoinChange. What do you guys have brewing for the rest of this year and beyond?
A lot of things are happening right now. So a few of the things right now, when you look at the app, I mean, it's like dumb simple, right? You just have an account, you put the coins there, and you start earning. So you don't see where the coins are going on, or what the strategies are using it, and how do we actually generate yield. So we're going to start showing that and in the app as well, so you can see where your allocation is, what strategies are used to generate that yield, where those strategies are. So let's say what blockchain, what protocol. So we're going to start adding that. We're going to start doing the transparency report first every month, right, to our customers by email, obviously. But I think in about 2 months, we'll have that in the application layer as well. Furthermore, I mean, right now we're doing some cool things with the partners that called Yield as a Service. So that's kind of a main go-to-market right now for us next year to launch, to spread our product through partners to their clients. So let's say, as an example, Coinbase will integrate CoinChange Earn product on their platform, and everybody will be able to use it, right? So every customer of Coinbase will be able to deposit to CoinChange account on Coinbase platform, right? And we'll do the revenue share with those guys, obviously, right? So that's pretty much the big undertaking is this yield as a service. We already have the APIs in place. We already have 2 beta integrations done with one neobank and with one exchange. And we're going to take this product to market Q1 next year, and we call it YAS, yield as a service, or yield API product. This is a big one. So any FinTech that has retail deposits on the platform, or not retail, any deposits on the platform, B2B or retail, right, can introduce our product to them, right, and benefit from revenue share.
Interesting. I like that idea. And you're rolling that out Q1.
Yeah. It's already in beta testing right now with a few customers, right? So.
Okay. Max, what else would you like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stigma, around crypto and high risk investment. I mean, I would say it's a volatile investment, right? Obviously, right? If we consider risk equates to volatility, that's true, but the risk not always correlated with volatility, right? So I won't say that if you do it smart, and that you can afford a drawdown like we have right now, 50%, right, of the asset value, and you're not freaking out and don't have to sell your house to cover your bills. I mean, it's not a really super risky investment, because we all know that the assets like Bitcoin are highly adopted right now by the institutional players, right? We know that Ethereum is going through the merger right now, and most likely this is going to be a successful merger when from proof of work we're going to proof of stake, right? So we're becoming more green. There's more utility in the money. Because what is money, by the way? I mean, like, money is just a representation of some kind of a value.
Some kind of value, exactly.
Right. So
it could be a dollar in your note in your pocket. It could be a gold coin, or something.
Exactly. And I think money has utility, right? It has utility value. Money that sits down doing nothing, you're losing that utility, you're losing that value. And what proof of stake does, it enables you to utilize that money, that capital that you have, for some kind of return, right? So proof of stake, you stake in your coins to validate transactions. Not only, like, the mechanics of it doesn't really have to be understood deeply. All it means that you have your money, you provide your capital, and you're getting paid for that utility of the capital that you provide, right? Either it's proof of stake, or either it's yield farming, right? But the money has value, and there's time value of money, right? So a lot of people don't understand that. That's what banks do, right? On the fractional basis, I mean, multiplying the leverage on the capital that they get in. But I think proof of stake is a great example of innovation, and how crypto can be adapting to the demands of the 21st century of being green, right? The energy prices, everybody knows. The inflation, everybody knows. Russia been bullying Europe when they're cutting down the gas, everybody knows, right? So all those things are pretty much technology will solve, right? It just requires some time, but on the blockchain world, everything moves faster, right? So an innovation happens faster. So proof of stake is a great example of that, right? So adopting to the new environment, new demands. Banks still run on the big, old from servers, right? That from the 70s and 80s. Yeah. And Ethereum has been able to will be able to pull out such a massive change with the tens of billions of dollars on chain, real time, becoming a different rails. Right. So banks can do that. They cannot change that fast, and they cannot adapt that fast. And the new ecosystem, the new payment rails, the new financial rails, so the blockchain can. Yeah. So I think that's, it's people say it's high risk. It's super risk. It's super risk. I mean, when you go and just trust someone with your coins, your neighbor or like somebody you meet on the Reddit, and they give them to trade those coins. Right. This is high risk. This is just stupid, right? Yeah. Or you hope buying some shitty coin that's been promoted on the side that never comes to reality, and you send in your PayPal payment for a future promise. I mean, that's stupid. I mean, but overall, the space is becoming more mature, and there's a lot of money that's been made by institutionals and players who understand the market. And what we're trying to do, I mean, in our case, right, I mean, when we started originally, was taking Wall Street to the main street, so let everybody participate and earn, right? Through the experience that we generate with the DeFi, right? So Wall Street to the Main Street. I mean, it still stays the same. I mean, a lot of businesses don't know how to do their cash management, right, properly, and they do it through the banking old rails. We provide new rails. That's why we can pay more, right? Because DeFi, first of all, it's the utility of money is faster there, so they pay more for your capital because it moves faster, it generates more value. So, and it moves 24/7. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of misconceptions around crypto. Been super high risk or been. It's a speculative asset. There's no doubt. I mean, and this is something that's also needed on the market. People don't want to work anymore. They want to just speculate. Right? They don't want to go back to work. Look at everybody. Like employment rate is at its lowest. Why? It doesn't mean that everybody's at work. It means like people are just out of payroll system. They don't want to be on payroll anymore. They're like, they've been out of the payroll system for 6 months, and why go work for $12 an hour? When you can get a whatever COVID checks and plus do some Uber on the side, right? And do some trading a bit on the side, right? People don't want to wait as well. I mean, these days nobody wants to wait for 20 years to wealth accumulate, right? Especially younger generation. They're willing to take a risk. So I think that crypto is not going to die. I mean, there's too much embedded culture right now in the market for participants to come back when there's another bull run.
And the institutions are slowly adopting and coming on board. Where do you obviously the market's down right now. How do you see the market play out for the rest of this year and Q1 of next year?
Yeah, listen, no one has a crystal ball, right? I mean, if I did, I won't be here right now. I'm just relaxing in the Cayman Islands or something on my boat. But
you can go visit Raul Paul.
Yeah. But I mean, in reality, we'll hope for, right? Everybody, I have a vested interest in crypto to be a successful industry, right? And to come back as a unpacked market. Right, so everybody was hoping that Bitcoin is going to unpack from their equity markets, right? But it's still kind of correlated with high risk assets. So I don't know. I mean,
it's a new asset class. Like it's we're just over 10 years in. So from that standpoint, I think it's doing fantastic. From if you look at gold, been around precious metals literally thousands of years.
Yeah. And I mean, if you compare the last 12 months across the S&P and Bitcoin, I mean, there's Bitcoin, I think, done better as well, even though right now, I think. Anyways, future, I mean, what does future hold? I think it definitely a lot of unknowns, with this global macro environment right now with Russia, with Taiwan, and with Argentina as well, right? And there's Turkey having a crazy inflation as well. So there's so much happening right now that anything can just trickle the effect of the world economy. But I think it's kind of better for digital.
I do too.
You're not really relying too much.
People are looking more. They're definitely looking at
sovereignty,
more.
Right?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, I'll bet I have my whatever $10,000.
It's global. It's permissionless.
I can move around easy. Nobody can confiscate it from me.
We're in 2 different countries.
Yeah. I mean, you're in. So we're like the payments are easy. Can move around easy. Nobody can take it from me easy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of utility in that for sure. Yeah, I think it's pretty resilient asset class. It's not going to go anywhere. Just likely it will be affected by the interest. I mean, if they're going to start doing QE again, I mean, everything is back to the party. Even though if they won't, likely I hope it will still be around the same or better level of a Bitcoin price than it is right now. A lot of it depends on the Bitcoin price, unfortunately. Even though DeFi is kind of on its own, because those applications are pretty resilient right now. Uniswap, I think, is on the run to make $1 billion revenue this year. Right? All those applications are decentralized, so peer-to-peer. So and they all earn because of their fees that they charge, and they have very little OPEX. They don't run any servers because they're all on Ethereum bases or Avalanche or whatever blockchain. So they don't have a big OPEX to keep on servers going, and they pay developers in their own token, the governance. So I mean, it's a very very proper incentive structures and the lightweight businesses that are very resilient.
Yeah.
I don't think DeFi is going to go anywhere, but unfortunately, the overall market depends on the price of the Bitcoin, right? And the sentiment on that. So we'll see. I think it's going to be okay.
Okay. Fantastic. Max, in closing, how can our listeners reach out to you and your team if they have questions or they want to stay in the conversation with you and CoinChange?
Yeah, I think it's it's easy. I have a Twitter, right? So you guys can find me there, Maxim Galash, right, on Twitter. So Max Galash at Twitter.
We'll have it on the episode blog post page, the direct link.
Thanks. Yeah, and then the website CoinChange.io. I mean, we have most of the team is there. I mean, at least the guys you want to talk to. Man, ask questions if you have anything. So, or just email me, CEO@CoinChange.io.
CEO@CoinChange.io. Well said. Max, man, it was a pleasure to have you on the show, and thanks for dropping by.
Likewise. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Hey, you're welcome back anytime, and have a great day over there.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Thanks for tuning in to New to Crypto Podcast. If you liked the episode, be sure to follow and subscribe. You can listen to every episode on all major platforms. Have an interest in being on the show or want advertising? Reach out at newtocrypto.io. Head over to our site, newtocrypto.io, to access the resources mentioned in each episode. Until next time, remember to navigate the crypto landscape with pinpoint accuracy.